day. This morning I woke up with a lot of energy, just feeling good, motivated, and encouraged. And as I left my home this morning, I started thinking to myself that no matter what situations you may face, Tammy, the word reminds us in all things give thanks. I don't care what the situation is. It doesn't tell us give thanks only when things are going well, but when things are going bad, you have to give thanks. Well, as my day went on, I'm feeling good. Energy is great. I'm excited about today's show. I run into a little situation, but then I start to get in my feelings, start to get in my emotions. Every time the mirror does it to me, Tammy, girl, get your shit together. Like, it's okay. Bounce back. And in the midst of me bouncing back, I had to remind myself of what you was thinking this morning. And all things give thanks. Well, even as the day goes on, I am getting ready for the show. But then I get that Tremaine Hawkins spirit that even during my disappointments in life, I must still praise. So I want to leave you all with that. Even during your disappointments, you must still praise God. You must give him the glory and edify him for all things. And in all things, give thanks, whether it's good or bad. So as we go into our show this evening, I want to welcome everyone, and I would like to thank all of my sponsors who has helped this show of Real Talk with T. Holmes to be progressive. Thank you. This evening's segment, I would like to welcome our guest this evening, Keisha Bass. Keisha is a schoolmate of mine. And so we kind of grew up around in the same neighborhood. But today we will talk about her struggles, his glory. So, you all, can you please welcome Keisha Bass to the show? Keisha, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, Tammy.
And Keisha is a native of Nashville, a graduate of White Creek High School, very active. Now, of course, back in the day, when you went to White Creek, you had to have long hair, light skin. Only the pretty girls went there. So I didn't fit in that category. Look pretty, but not light skin with long hair. I didn't fit in that category to go to White Creek. Unfortunately, I graduated from Glen Cliff. So look, shout out to all the coats.
I didn't fit in that category.
Yes, she did. Use it. Well, Keisha, of course, we had a little conversation. I know that you're doing great things in the community. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on was because, to me, I felt you're doing a lot of good things in the community. And sometimes, in Nashville, if you ain't hanging around or sitting at the table with certain people, they might not feel like you. But here on Real Talk, we like to recognize everybody. So I want to commend you on your activity that you're doing in the community. I know you have a Instagram thrifting store that we'll talk about later, and also a young man's youth program titled Gents, right? Okay, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I want to go on to talk about Keisha's story, her struggles, his glory. We will talk about the birth of your son, how in life, a lot of different struggles that you face, and we know that struggles don't stay there forever. So just give us a little bit of background about right after high school, before going to college. You living, the college life, having fun on campus, right?
Yeah, a little bit after I finished college in 2001, I got pregnant with my first son. Got into my pregnancy 23 weeks into 22 weeks into my pregnancy, and I went into labor. I had to go to the hospital. When I was in the hospital, I was in there for a week. They had my bed tilted. My head was down here and my legs was in the air. It was tilted like that for a week. So by the time I got up, I was dizzy, couldn't walk. But I ended up having him 23 weeks. He was on a ventilator. He had brain bleeds. They were trying to keep him in, but he ended up coming anyway. So they was giving me all the options, you can have him and do not resuscitate, have him and let him die in your arms, the whole 9 yards. They were just giving me all of that. But I wanted to resuscitate, so they put him on a ventilator. He was in the NICU for 7 months. So I was back and forth at the hospital, back and forth pumping milk for 7 months. It was like I lived at the hospital. He lived at the hospital. Um, but after he got out, he still had struggles. He was on like maybe 10 medicines.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to have it on a schedule because I couldn't remember all of that. He had like 9 or 10 appointments every week. He had a pulse oximeter, which is an apnea thing because he would stop breathing all the time. He was on a feeding machine and oxygen. So I'm carrying all of that, plus giving him all these medicines to the doctor's appointments.
Plus a car seat and a
Yeah.
baby bag.
Right,
Yeah.
plus a car seat, plus a stroller,
Correct.
plus a baby bag, all of that. Yes.
Okay, so Keisha, at this time, what age are you at that time when you give birth to your son?
26 or 27.
Oh, okay, 26, 27, but that's still a lot to carry. Like, tell us, what was your mindset like? Because for me, just even thinking about it, being a mother myself, it brought back memories to me. My niece that I raised as my child, she gave birth to her baby at 25 weeks. Well, she was 27, but the baby measured 25, and she only lived 11 days because she was born too early outside of the womb. But as a mother, like, what was your thought process? Like,
I was scared because there was times where they didn't think he was going to make it throughout the night. So I was scared to even take him home, but pretty much scared and stressed.
okay, but your support system, tell me about that. I'm sure you had plenty of family
I
and
had
friends.
a very good support system. My friends came to the hospital with me. Actually, my best friend saw my son before I did because I had caught a staph infection. So when I first had my son, I couldn't see him, but my best friend went and saw him. So my family, my mom, my cousins, I've always had a good support system with my family.
Well, that's great because that makes all the difference in the world. Now, of course, but your mindset is what? Are you thinking like, God, like, surely I'm too young to be battling all this? Like, of course, you know, they always say don't ever put too much on us than we can bear. Is that ever your mindset?
No, not really. I really just, anything I'm faced with, I always just deal with it. I just do it. You know what I'm saying? I never get to the point where I'm like, I'm down, but I don't make it to the point where, I can't do this.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, of course we know because giving up is never an option. But again, your support system made a difference because it was plenty of people that was praying for you and with you, probably during those times when you couldn't even pray for yourself.
Exactly.
But you have a baby boy, several surgeries he goes through. You've explained that him being on feeding tubes, he come home. So then you graduate from TSU. Right, but they happened before you had your baby, right?
Well, I've graduated before I had my son.
But then you go on to go to grad school, correct?
Before I got pregnant with my son, I started grad school,
Okay.
and I had to quit because I got pregnant with him, and he was in the hospital for so long.
Well, that's understandable, like,
Yeah,
because
so
of
I
course, just having a juggle everyday life sometimes. Look, I ain't one back yet. It's supposed to be.
Now that's one of those things where I said I can't do this right now. 'Cause
Right,
I was
absolutely.
stressed, worried about my son, so I just had to quit for that.
Okay, but then that was in 2005 and 2007. You have a second son, correct? Okay.
Yes. So I had to get my cervix sewn because of what happened with the first son. So
Okay.
the second son, he was fine.
Okay. Okay. So pretty much it was just typically that your cervix probably was too thin to
Yes,
hold him.
that's
So
what
that's
it
what
was.
caused. Okay. So he's born too early and then he's produced into the world. And they was really thinking he wasn't going to make it based on the time frame that he.
Right.
So I'm sure he was the miracle baby, right?
Right.
Okay.
Because I was 5 months.
Correct.
I was due in November, but I had him in July.
Okay.
So that was like 2 totally different seasons.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so you go back to school after you have your second son, correct? You go back to school, and then how long you stay in school then?
After a few years, I went back to school. Then, while I was in school, that's second, third, or fourth go around, I found out I had breast cancer.
Okay,
But I said this time, I'm like, I will not quit again.
absolutely.
I don't care what I have to do. I am not quitting again.
Okay, so now we have 2 sons.
Mhm.
one with a disability,
Mhm.
right? Or would I mean, because is it more or less of a disability or just more or less like just he was delayed in the actual world or learning
Yeah,
things.
he says functional and learning delay, which they consider a
Okay, was based
disability.
on him being
Mhm.
okay. But you have two sons now,
Mhm.
single mother, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, single mother. So you done graduated college, so you doing well, but then you still trying to balance life. Cause
Mhm.
at some point in time, like I'm sure you thinking like I need to breathe. Like
Mhm.
God, when you gonna come and sit by me? But then you get diagnosed with breast cancer, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so you go on, and yes, when you say I'm determined, I'm not giving up. I
Mhm.
ain't giving up. Whatever's gonna happen, we're gonna get across this stage. I'm gonna finish school.
Right. So when I was in grad school, when I went back, I had a double mastectomy on a Wednesday. I went to class that following Tuesday.
Mm.
I forgot what other every surgery I scheduled, I made sure I scheduled it on a Wednesday so I could go to class that following Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Cause so you must have had classes on what?
Tuesdays. Every
On
Tuesday I had a
on Tuesday
class.
only.
Mhm.
Okay. So Keisha, at this time, and that's even in the midst of going through treatment, still working full time,
Mhm.
plus two babies, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you juggling all this by yourself, but I know still with the help of family and friends that's coming
Mhm.
to see about you. But was it ever any time that your mindset was like, God, like I need you right now. I need you right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I'll give it signs. Okay.
Mhm.
So we go on. Then 2019, we graduate with our master's,
Mhm.
right, from Vanderbilt.
Mhm.
So that's a great accomplishment. Like,
Yes, it took me 17 years on and off.
but guess what? It don't even matter. If it
Mhm.
took you 27, the fact of the matter was, through all your struggles, you never gave up. Like,
Mhm.
you know what they're saying to many people that's watching? Like, so many people going through stuff daily, they want to give up after 7 days or something. But 17 years, the fact of the matter was that you never quit.
Yeah, it
And so
wasn't an
we,
option.
huh?
I said it wasn't an option.
Right, absolutely.
Mhm.
But we know that in real life that the struggle is real, but we also know that God is too.
Mhm.
And so in the midst of, when we talked, I was like, and it came to my spirit, her struggles, his glory, because it's no way on God's given earth could you have not would be here today. To be able to share
Mhm.
your story with somebody else had it not been for God's grace. So
Mhm.
now we in 2021.
Mhm.
You out of school for 5 years. During 2020, during a pandemic, you start your own thrifting
Mhm.
business.
I actually started it before the pandemic. I
Okay.
started it in January,
Okay.
so it was actually before that. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, that's sort of that was at the brace of 2020, correct?
Mhm.
Now, of course, 2020 was a vision year. We all seen
Mhm.
great things coming, and although the pandemic came, like it was still a lot of great opportunities for people to overcome outside of us being, what's the word? When we was in the house.
Oh, quarantine.
Quarantine, yes, having a quarantine for all those days.
Mhm.
So that right there was given. So on your for your thrifting with Keisha, you thrift what as far as clothes?
Um, I just pretty much flip clothes. Kind of like what the Goodwill does. They
Mhm.
take donations and they resell it.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know,
So you take men, women, children's, or what?
I take it all: men's, women's, children's clothes, shoes. I don't take furniture. Every now and then, people want me to consign furniture, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's mostly women's, kids, and men's clothing and shoes.
Okay. So let me just go back. I want to take a step back before we go into your next opportunity of life that you had. We know that they did a documentary of your son,
Mhm.
and you all can go see that on the National Public Television on YouTube. And if you don't want to watch the whole 50 some minutes, you can fast forward. I think it's what, 5:25.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
Mhm.
5 minutes 25 seconds, and you will see Keisha talking, and you will see the grace that was spared over her and her baby, as God has definitely not only him but you too. Like,
Mhm.
but as a woman and as a mother, and just sitting here thinking like, Keisha, like at any given time, did you ever feel like it's no way I can go on? even though we know giving up was not an option. Because
Mhm.
looking at you right now, I feel your energy,
Mhm.
and I know that because you have tears in your eyes, so I know that you're still overwhelmed
Mhm.
with God's grace. But was it anytime you was like, God, like, why me?
I don't think I ever said that.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't think
Mhm.
I ever said that.
Okay. Now I've never been one really to question
Mhm.
God, but I have been one to be like, God, it's no way I can go
Mhm.
on. Like you got to show up right now in the nick of time, because even my husband being sick and having to go back and forth to the hospital, that wears you out. So for
It
seven
does wear you
months,
out though. Mhm.
7 months, like you were still able to balance everything.
Mhm.
Okay. So has it been any opportunities to where, as your son got older, he's doing well, correct?
Yeah, he's doing good.
Okay, he's
Mhm.
doing good.
He still has some slight struggles as far as being academically delayed,
Mm-hmm.
but he's doing well. He's working, so
Is
he's doing
he?
good.
How old
Mhm.
is he?
He's 15.
Oh, okay. So where he work at?
The Martha O'Brien Center.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Good
His
see you.
first job.
Okay. So is he excited?
Oh, he loves it.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. But of course, even though he was delayed academically wise, like I see that his mother's strength has overcome and bounced off of you into him to just keep
Mhm.
pushing forward.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have a single mother here with two babies, one son with born too early to even survive in the world. Then mom gets diagnosed with breast cancer. Takes her 17 years to finish, but she does it. Not only does she graduate with 1 degree, but end up graduating with two. And of course, us blacks, us prestigious to graduate from Vanderbilt.
Mhm.
Not that anybody can't go there, but
Mhm.
you never gave up.
No.
And that to
Mhm.
me, that was the inspiring part. Because even if it took you 27 years, the
Mhm.
fact of it is that you done it. So let's before we close out, let's talk about your Gents program, which is your young men, the youth program organization for young boys, right?
Mhm.
Tell us how you got to that part of wanting to do that.
Um, I've always thought that there was always something missing being taught in schools and at home. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like what needs to be taught in schools and at home is seldom taught. So I wanted to start an organization to teach them the life skills
Okay.
that are seldom taught in schools and in at the home,
Okay.
because some parents just don't know. I was one of them parents that just don't know some of these life skills, like
Mm-hmm.
investing,
Mm-hmm.
financial literacy. Um, we just did today. We did CPR.
Okay.
Um, the next session we're having with Eric, the counselor, we're having a mental health session,
Okay.
anger management,
Mm-hmm.
and it's for young boys, inner city boys.
Okay. So what's the age group that you take the young men in?
It's typically like 5th grade through 12th grade,
Okay.
but we have an 8-year-old too, so I don't
Okay.
like turning anybody away,
Okay.
because really the stuff that we're teaching, anybody, they need to learn it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No matter what age, just like the CPR.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, an 8-year-old needs to know how to do CPR.
Absolutely. Because of course we never know when we're gonna have to utilize
Right, right.
those. So, um, with the Gents program, I just want to go into a little bit more detail. So, you meet once a month, correct?
I try to do once a month and once every 2 months.
Okay.
I've only had 2 sessions so far.
Okay.
We
Okay.
met in May, and then we met again in
Today.
July.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, in the midst of your sessions, of course, Keisha is, of course, at all times looking. It's a nonprofit organization, so she's not asking for any donation of money, but she's looking for any. If you have any, we have any caterers that's watching, or people that can donate food, correct?
Mhm.
So that way that she can feed the young men lunch during the time of their life skills lesson. If they would like to donate food, tell them how they can get in contact with you, or if you all have any clothing they would like to donate for the thrift store, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so tell them how they can get in contact with you.
You can inbox me on Facebook, Keisha Bass. It's KIESHA BASS, or you can go to my Instagram page. It's Thrifting with Keisha, spelled the same, Thrifting with KIESHA. or you can go to my personal page, Keisha B 1913.
Okay, at 1913, we got a Delta in the house, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Keisha, I want to thank you so much for coming, sharing your story. But most of all, what I'm inspired about is you not giving up. I'm inspired that you kept going throughout all your struggles, and of course, trusting God no matter what. Because no matter what's in front of us, and no matter what the situation looks like, we always have to keep our connection with God 1st to know that our source will always be Him. So thank you, and I'm sure that you've helped somebody else. Now, as we close out this evening, I would like to thank Keisha for coming, giving her story to help many people. As we talked about Keisha organizations, if you have any clothing, men, women, children, you can inbox her on Instagram at Thrifting with Keisha, or on Facebook as Keisha Bass, or Keisha at Keisha B 1913. Correct? Okay. So as again we close out, to many of you as myself that has gone through trials and tribulations, and many times thought, how am I going to get over it? Like, think about this single mother who put out her trust in God. Think about this single mother who dedicated her life to 17 years to finish school. Like, giving up is never an option. I don't care what you're going through. You got to speak to the situation, expect deliverance, and you will conquer anything you face. Thank you for joining Real Talk with T. Holmes this evening. Thank you.